Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Jessica, this is Pin Drop Shop, and today I'm going to show you how to needle felt your own little magnet. Okay, you will need some wool fiber roving. This is Clover brand. We sell this on the website in a bunch of colors. You need however many colors you want. You need a foam mat. You need cookie cutters. And you need some felting needles. This is what will come in the kits on our website. So you're going to open up your felting needle package. Okay, so you'll see your felting needles. This is the top where you hold it, and it has these little barbs. They're very sharp, so really try not to stab yourself. Okay, so you're going to decide what color you want as the base for your project. So I'm going to make a pink egg. So I have ripped off a little piece here, and I'm going to just ball it up and shove it down in there. So you can always add more, so you can start with less and see what you think and then add more, but I'm going to make it so it kind of looks like it's full when I push it down, but as you felt it, it's going to sink down lower and get thinner and make a thin egg. And this is kind of a thick cookie cutter, and I don't want my egg to be that thick. I'm thinking maybe like halfway as thick as this. So if it looks like it's kind of full when you push it down, not that hard, it's probably going to shrink to at least half. Okay, so then you're just going to kind of move your fingers out of the way, take one of your felting needles, and just start poking this stuff down. Like that. And you can see it's already starting to shrink down inside. And just keep poking. And if you want this to go a little faster, you can take multiple needles like that. And we're just going to do this for a while until it really starts to harden up. So the wool is fluffy, but as you poke it, it really will become solid. One solid egg. And I like to make sure I go around the outside like this to kind of get all those fuzzies to go down and make a cleaner outline. Then after you feel like you've made some progress, you can lift it up, you can look at it, see your shape, and then you can flip it over. You'll have to kind of peel it up off of the foam, and we'll flip it over and put it back in the mold. And if you have a mold that's not symmetrical like this egg, you could pick the whole thing up and just flip it over and use it. The cookie cutter can be upside down, that's fine. So you just flip it over. And now we have to start gathering up these little fluffies that are poking out because we want this to be solid on both sides. So this will just take some time. And we're just going to go until we have it just about as hard and solid as we want it. We will add some details after it gets to that point. So I'm going to use this green to put some little polka dots or something on my egg. So I'm just going to keep poking until I feel like it's almost finished. And I'm going to flip it over periodically and see, it has all these fuzzies again. So you're just going to keep doing this for a while, and all those fuzzies will get reined in. And definitely be careful if you're using more than one. Even if you're using one, you don't think you're going to stab yourself, but it's really easy to do. And they're really sharp, it'll make your finger bleed. And sometimes, like if I hold my thumb down here, I'll poke through like under the cookie cutter and I'll feel it. So just kind of try to hold your fingers up. And just don't stab where your fingers are. And kind of go at different angles. Like don't just go straight up and down the whole time. Kind of like go like this a little bit, go like that a little bit. You know. Our goal is just to agitate this wool. And since we have a mold, we don't have to really worry about how we're doing it at all. As long as we're in there agitating it, the mold is going to keep the wool in shape. So it makes this so easy. Starting to look pretty good. And then I've found that when the piece gets a little bit thin, and it's a lot thinner than the cookie cutter, then when I stab it, it kind of wants to pop up. So I found a little trick where you can stick a needle in one half of the thing, and then on the it'll kind of hold it down over here, so you can poke over here without this whole thing popping up the whole time. So I'm feeling that it's pretty close to how firm I want it. And then you'll find that if you just keep doing the piece inside the form, you're going to have some fuzzies around the outside. So now I'm going to carefully stab it when it's not in the cookie cutter, just all over, kind of even going like at an angle like this a little bit, and then in, and kind of holding it less to the foam, because as long as you're holding it to the foam and poking all the way through, it's going to form the fuzzies that come through the bottom side onto the foam. So once you get down to this part where you're just trying to fix the surface texture, you don't have to poke all the way through the piece and into the foam, because that's just going to make more fuzzies. And if you poke and you poke and you want to get even cleaner, it is an option to take your scissors and just cut some off. That's fine. like that. And if you find that your just certain shapes might not be as clean and crisp as they were in the cookie cutter, you can kind of take them and, like if I wanted this to be a little more pointy, this here, I could take it like this, and as though you're sculpting clay, you just are kind of pushing it in the direction that you want it to go. So like if you wanted this pointy, you wouldn't want to come in from the top and push it down, because that would actually push it. You want to take the sides and push it towards where you want that point to be, like you're pushing clay into position. So then when you're ready to add surface decorations, you will put it back in the mold, because all this poking that we're about to do can kind of push it out of shape. So we're going to leave it in the mold and pick which side you like better to be your front. Okay, so I think I'm going to just do some little polka dots on this. So I have some green and I pulled off a little clump. And I think even this might be too big for the dots that I want. So I'm just gonna pull out a little tiny bit of fiber. Like even that might be more than needed. I'm gonna kind of thin that out. And then just ball it up and roll it up. So whatever shape you're trying to make, which a circle is easy because you just roll it up. You just kind of try to form that shape as much as you can, even though it's going to be bigger than it's going to turn out to be. It's going to be puffy. So here's my little circle, and I actually made a bunch of them. So we'll just start with one of them, wherever I might think I want to place that, maybe right there. And you just start by getting it attached. I'm going to stick one of my needles over here to hold down my egg. So just start by getting it attached and then work on the actual shape. So you can see I'm kind of making these little motions where I bring in the weird pointy things to the middle to make it more of a circle. Like that. So whatever shape you wanted to form, you just kind of push it into the position and then just kind of poke it down. Like that. And that's really all there is to this. It's just basically sculpting with wool, except you have the mold to help you with the overall shape. And I like to poke it until the texture of the new green dot is kind of the same as the pink base, where it's not completely popping out. Like that. Beautiful. I just think it's so fun. It's so magical that something like this even works. So now looking at my other dot, I think that one's a little bigger than I want it, so I'm going to remove some of this. Just ball it up again. It's a fun, low pressure, low commitment project. Just kind of get the creativity flowing again. Okay, so I have finished all the decorations I want to do to my egg, and I then went around and clipped off just the little bits of fuzzies that kind of hang off there, just the little hairs and stuff. So I wanted to make a bunch of these and make them into magnets. So I got these magnet backs, and I'm just going to put some hot glue. Just put my magnet right there. And that step might even be unnecessary. It's just a temporary hold for what we're about to do. So if you left it like this and tried to put it on your fridge, and then when you would try to peel it off, that hot glue isn't gonna hold that enough. So we need to felt this magnet in. So we're gonna take a little bit for whatever we want the color of the back of the egg to be. So I'm gonna use my same pink. And we're just gonna form a little back panel thing. So I'm going to start with some like this, and we don't want to put it directly on because once it's on there we can't poke into that magnet because we'll hit that hard magnet. So we have to kind of make this into a little piece of fabric first. So just in the middle, we're just going to start doing this until we get something that in the middle is pretty solid, at least. Flip it over. Go at an angle. And it's okay if it's not completely solid. If you can still see some of that magnet through there, it's okay. But we do want it to mostly cover the magnet and kind of come over the edges so we can felt down to the egg on the sides of the magnet. So, and we only need it to be as big as the egg. So I'm gonna fold this in so I can have some that kind of goes over to this side so it can cover that side of the magnet. And you've probably noticed if you felt something too much before you try to attach it to something else, it's kind of hard to get it to attach because it's already formed and firm. So things that you want to attach, like these end flaps and these little end borders, you don't want to go completely overboard and make them totally solid because then there won't be any fuzzies to grip onto the egg. So that looks pretty good. So let's lay it over the magnet. We can kind of pinch it over. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to start with the sides here. So just carefully go in next to the magnet onto the egg and get our little backing to stay. I'm kind of pulling some more over because it was kind of narrow. And that's what's so great about it. When it's not firm yet, it's still quite malleable. It really is like sculpting or painting with wool. And then however firm you want this to be, where it is over top of the magnet, you kind of need to have that done before you put it on because you can't do much once it's on here. You can't poke this way. You can a little bit poke this way and kind of do something. and then we have all this extra stuff over here. And I think I might have made mine a little bit too big. I might try to pull some of that off. I do recommend tearing it off whenever you can as opposed to cutting it, because if you cut it, it just kind of messes it up. It's hard to get rid of that cut edge. You can cut it though, it's okay, especially because... Okay, so then once you're happy with the way it looks from the front, you're not seeing too much stuff sticking out from the outside. Hopefully you don't see any stuff sticking out. You can trim off fuzzies if you want, and you're happy with how it's all covered and it's on there, you feel tightly, then you're done. Thanks for watching.